Yo, what's up? Welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. I'm one of your hosts, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Joining me is twitch.tv/Andy Cortez.
Good morning, Blessing. And good morning, Nicki Minaj.
Good morning. Andy, I'm going to need your best Nicki Minaj impression right here, right now.
The one I'm gonna bang it.
Oh, that was really good.
I really thought you were going to say good morning to me, but okay.
Oh, see, for some reason, Blessing started the morning by singing verses from the Kanye West song Monster. And immediately that song just goes in your head. And now we've just sort of been imitating Nicki Minaj's verse. But I don't know the words. I just know the hooks and how the sounds are. And that's all the morning has been. And Barrett has just been, he's exhausted already.
I would.
No, you know what? Again, 2/3 of Monster, right fucking great. And I will never get tired of listening to 2/3 of Monster. There's the 1/3 we don't talk about.
Don't forget that Rick Ross is also on that song.
Oh,
we all forget
really?
that.
3/4.
He's the first verse on that song.
You're
but
right.
We all forget it. We all hate on Jay-Z on that song, but Rick Ross starts off that song.
3/4 of the song. Great.
It's like the preamble, it's like the prologue.
It really is.
It's the forward that maybe you get a new book. It smells really nice. You see the forward is written by, I don't know, some guy, and you're like, I'll just read it. And sure, maybe I might skim through it. Yeah.
Let me just get it into the actual content. I feel you. Andy, we got no time to waste because we have a whole lot to talk about. So let's talk about Nintendo's E3 being officially announced, a retailer leaking the Nintendo Switch Pro some more, and a Nintendo museum, because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv /Kind of Funny Games. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. Will some of that news be breaking news that is happening as I'm reading through this preamble? Yes, it is. If you're watching this live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, or you can listen later on podcast services around the globe by searching for Kinda Funny Games Daily. To be a part of the show, to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free with the exclusive daily post show. Housekeeping for you, we got a new Kinda Funny Games cast that is up right now, and it's the highly anticipated E3/Summer Game Fest predictions episode. It's Greg, it's Tim, it's Andy, it's me, making our boldest and wildest predictions on what we can expect this summer. There are 40 total predictions made between the four of us. That's up right now on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and on podcast services around the globe. And you even get more predictions if you listen to the post show. And so go check that out because it was a blast. All just speaking out of our ass, just making our best predictions. And you know what? I think we're gonna have a solid 15 to 20% of them come true. That's my prediction. That's another prediction on top of our predictions.
Once people listen to what happens with the Xbox controller, people are gonna be shocked.
People are going to be shocked about the big change coming to the Xbox controller at E3 2021.
Thank you for that one, Greg.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Blackjack and Tom Bach. Today, we're brought to you by DoorDash and Magic Spoon, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 7 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Don't worry, Blessing. I can hear him from his room.
Okay, he was still going.
We couldn't hear him here.
Yeah. Again, when you guys reference this, whenever my voice cuts out or whatever, the kids can't hear that. They actually hear me. It's Discord that's fucking with it. It's like the Discord gating that's fucking it on your guys'.
Yeah, because you're popping through the OBS.
Yeah,
you're popping through OBS.
Yeah.
And by the way, too, one of our Patreon producers, Tom Bach, who asked, is Biomutant worth it?
No.
I gave up on it, and it looks like they are going to fix everything in the game. So hopefully it gets better.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Andy, let's start off with our story number 1. Nintendo has officially announced their E3. I'm pulling from Tom Warren at The Verge. Nintendo is holding an E3 event on June 15th, and the company promises it will be focused exclusively on Nintendo Switch games, mainly releasing in 2021. The Nintendo Direct presentation will begin at 9 a.m. Pacific time on June 15th, and Nintendo will hold 3 hours of gameplay deep dives once the event has concluded. Nintendo's wording suggests we won't be seeing anything hardware related at the company's E3 show. A Switch Pro has been rumored for months, with recent reports suggesting it may be announced ahead of E3. If a new Switch is imminent, Nintendo's E3 show would be the perfect opportunity to show how games run at 4K and to demonstrate the power of NVIDIA's latest chip and DLSS support. As E3 kicks off in virtual form on June 12th, there are only 10 days left to see if Nintendo is ready to announce an updated Switch ahead of E3. To add a little bit more context, Nintendo tweeted out about this morning. Their tweet reads like this: Nintendo at #E3 2021, June 15th, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Tune in for a Nintendo Direct with roughly 40 minutes of info focused exclusively on #Nintendo Switch software, mostly releasing in 2021, followed by around 3 hours of gameplay and Nintendo Treehouse Live. Andy, we did our whole predictions episode yesterday, talking all about what to expect from E3. That was before we got this big announcement from Nintendo, giving us a little bit more insight about what we can expect from E3. 40 minutes of a Nintendo Direct. Andy, does that do anything for you and your hype?
Oh my gosh, of course it does. 40 minutes of not only software, but software that is mostly releasing in 2021. That's the huge part of this tweet that is kind of insane to me, because I think that in the back of my mind, I've been playing this a lot safer and assuming that everything is 2022 now, just with COVID and how it's affected everything. I've just kind of like, if something gets delayed to 2022, I'm not surprised. I'm sort of preparing myself for the sadness, right? But good Lord, I mean, this is huge news. I'm already starting to wonder what are the exact titles that we're going to get. And, is it going to be the Donkey Kong game? Is it going to be, I mean, surely it won't be Metroid Prime 4 because they just hired like a new whatever writer. I feel like Metroid Prime 4 is always coming out with news that they're hiring a new programmer or a new gameplay designer or whatever. But I mean, we got to assume Breath of the Wild 2. We got to assume, Splatoon 3, is that even a possibility?
That's a good call. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that showed up there, because we've gotten we got the announcement trailer for that recently. That's the thing that's very exciting for this for me, is that I think sky's the limit when it comes to what they can show off. 40 minutes of content, I think that is that points to a substantial Direct, which isn't surprising because it's E3 and Nintendo usually does do substantial Directs around E3. But nothing's ever really a given, especially when it comes to Nintendo, and so I'm excited to see that we're getting that length. Them saying that it's focused on software mostly releasing in 2021. That's hype, because I think that does speak to the fact that they're going to fill out this year. And for a year that is filled with question marks from Nintendo, that's really cool. We know we're getting Mario Golf. We know we're getting No More Heroes. And we know that we're getting Pokemon. But that's about it. And so the idea that we're going to get 40 minutes of content focused on stuff, more stuff that's coming out, I think we can expect that to hopefully fill out the year a bit more. That, along with 3 hours of gameplay at Nintendo Treehouse Live, that gets me excited, because that feels like we're truly, like, nature is healing.
It's real.
We're truly getting back to E3, and they're truly going to have something to show. And I guess my question is, like, what is the tentpole, and is it really Breath of the Wild 2? That's the prediction. I think that's what we're mostly confident in, because it feels like it's time. We've had reports about Nintendo Switch Pro, and with Nintendo Switch Pro, you imagine that they want to time that somewhere along the lines with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Do you think we're going to get substantial content out of that? Do you think at that Treehouse we're going to get a lot of Breath of the Wild 2 gameplay?
I'm kind of worried about it, only because I don't know if the Treehouse would do anything Pro related, and I think that they are going to want to have Breath of the Wild 2 and the Pro, or whatever the hell we're going to call it. I think they want to have them really go hand in hand with one another, and not be able to mention one without the other, because you're going to see this much bigger world and a higher frame rate and a better resolution. And I don't think Treehouse Live is the place to do that. I think maybe we see a lot of Pokemon. I think maybe we see, with the news that Pokemon Arceus is out in February, maybe we see stuff about Arceus Legends. Arceus, chat, let me know. I'm not reading chat, but
the science is still out on that.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that. Okay, yeah, I knew the science community was kind of still working on that. But yeah, I don't know, Bless. I don't know if we show Breath of the Wild 2 if this is sort of promised to not be a hardware show. Like, I don't know if they say, here's Breath of the Wild, and here's Breath of the Wild, up to 3 hours of gameplay, even though I'm sure we're going to see a lot of other games in that 3 hour gameplay session for sure. But I don't know if we do that immediately without at least acknowledging that the Switch Pro exists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and that brings us to.
Oh yeah, sorry, Bless. Go ahead.
Oh well, I was gonna say that brings us to the next question of like, do we got what 10 days left?
Do we get it before that?
Yeah,
like
that's exactly
in the
what
next
I was
10 days.
ask.
Do we see it? And we'll get. Go for it, Barrett.
There was last week where I forget who it was like someone had asked someone with like kind of knowledge of what's going on with Nintendo of like, oh, like is there going to be an announcement in like the next day or two? And they had like responded with like the
little smiley face
emoji. And so like the expectation was that they were going to reveal it last week. And so do we think they're going to want to get ahead of it? Maybe either tomorrow or Friday or something like that, because the theory is that they might want to show it off before E3 officially starts, so other developers can be like, oh, and this is coming to the new Nintendo Switch.
It's possible. Yeah. Again, I mentioned in the Games Cast that I don't really know how that presentation looks. It's weird for me to imagine a hardware presentation from Nintendo that is all about updated GPU and higher frame rate and resolution. That doesn't seem like a very Nintendo thing to talk about. Again, when I think of Nintendo hardware presentations, I think of this silly gimmicky stuff that I can hear 4 ice cubes in this Joy-Con, and you dock the Switch and you could take it on the go. Like, I picture silly, kind of more fun hardware presentations like that, as opposed to, oh, this is going to get you how many more teraflops in the last GPU in the old Switch. So I don't know. Maybe that isn't even a Nintendo thing. Maybe it's a blog or press release or something exclusively through The Verge or through Forbes or whatever the hell. It's hard for me to imagine a hardware presentation that Nintendo puts out that is their own direct
technology driven.
Yeah,
because I think when it comes to Nintendo and how they operate with that stuff, I don't think that I don't think the hardware stuff ever feels like it is substantial in a way that is worth bragging about. Like, I don't think Nintendo's ever the ones where they're like, oh, and you can play this at 1080p, because it's never really amazing news. Playing Switch 4K on your TV, that's cool. That's awesome. And I think that's going to be very exciting. But I don't think that is one of those bullet points that is worth necessarily having like a big technical breakdown. I think that's stuff that you can get across in a quick announcement or a blog post or a tweet to go, hey, we're putting out a new model of the Switch. This is what it can do. 4K finally. Games are going to look a bit better. Then at E3, you do focus on the games. And
it's an exclusive Digital Foundry video. Here's Breath of the Wild 1 running on the old thing. Here's how it loads up. Here's Greg trying to load up, what was it, Animal Crossing, that took him like 2.5 minutes or whatever to even just start up the game. Here's how it loads up on the new processor. I see a lot of outlets doing it, but maybe not necessarily Nintendo. But Nintendo are the ones to show off that here's how the Nintendo 3DS screen works when you're looking at it, and you change, that all those very fun gimmicky hardware things are very Nintendo. I don't see them showing off what their frame rate, enhancements have become.
I want to keep going with this conversation, and this conversation does continue with story number 2. Before I get to story number 2, chat, everybody listening, I am aware of the breaking news, and we're going to get to breaking news.
I literally have a poll up that isn't even a poll. That's just, we know about God of War, and then you could go in and select one of the 4 options. Oh, cool, or 5 options. Oh, cool, gotcha, hi, Barrett, Andy rocks, and Greg sucks.
Currently. The news
perfect. Thank you,
is that I'm in the game, everybody.
Wow. Oh, shit.
Wow.
You're in the game. Who are you voicing?
Who you'll have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see. But his name rhymes with Blues.
Oh shit!
Zeus.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Zeus.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Story number 2: Switch Pro has reportedly been listed at a French retailer. This is Andy Robinson at Video Games Chronicle. Nintendo's expected new Nintendo Switch hardware model has reportedly been listed at a French retailer at the price of 399 euros. The supposed listing was shared on social media after French publication Centro, which previously leaked Pokemon's Diamond and Pearl remakes before their official announcement, claimed it had verified a retail listing for a new Switch SKU, set to go live on Friday, June 4th. If accurate, the $399 price point would place the Nintendo Switch at 100 euros more than the current model. Of course, the price, along with the listing itself, could be a placeholder unrelated to official product information. I wanted that added context there for the conversation we just had, right? Like, it feels like this thing is imminent. And in a lot of ways, it feels like it has to be imminent, given reports, given rumors, given insiders, given all that stuff. And so, yeah, that's one I guess to keep an eye out for, right? Like, every single day I wake up and there's not a Nintendo Switch Pro announcement. I'm like, why, God, why?
God, you
gotta assume that it's still coming.
Bless, get your browser ready with all of your credit card information. Have that shit prepared and ready to go.
Yeah.
Because, good Lord, I really hope this thing comes out before I end up going back home for several weeks. Because I don't want to go home with my old Switch. No chance in hell. No chance in home. This piece of garbage is going home with me, Bless.
You know what else isn't going home with you this year? God of War Ragnarok. Story number 3. It's official. It's been delayed. I'm pulling from a PlayStation blog post that went up as we started this show. It's a Q&A from Hermen Hulst over at PlayStation Studios. They do a whole, I guess, Q&A, right? Back and forth. Frequently asked questions post. Hidden in this Q&A, they do talk about God of War Ragnarok. The question goes like this. The question is, how have the teams at PlayStation Studios been able to cope and adapt with these big challenges over the last year? The answer goes like this. This is from Hermen. Perhaps the biggest challenge has been when we all... hold on, let me start that over. Perhaps the biggest challenge has been when we need specialist locations, often physical locations. Primarily performance capture, audio work. We've come up with some really clever solutions to some of this. We built tiny recording studios in people's houses. But when you're doing performance capture for a lot of cinematics with multiple actors, that's not so simple to solve. So you've got a choice. You could do it later in the schedule, which could cause you problems, or you could risk the final quality by doing it in a different way. But I can tell you, we're not going to risk the quality. We want to ship extremely high quality games, finished games, and we have to do that obviously without pushing our teams to the breaking point. So we have currently 2 very big, very narrative-driven games in development, Horizon Forbidden West and the next God of War. And for both of those, they're frankly affected by access to performance capture and talent. For Horizon, we think we are on track to release this holiday season, but that isn't quite certain yet. And we're working hard as we can to confirm that to you as soon as we can. And for God of War, the project started a little later, so we've made the decision to push that game out to next year to ensure that Santa Monica Studio can deliver the amazing God of War game that we all went to play. With these things, something's got to give. It cannot be the quality of our titles, and it surely won't be the health or the well-being of our amazing team. So there you have it.
We can blame Alana for this. We can blame Alana. We know it's all her fault.
Alana Pierce, how dare you?
This is kind of surprising to me, Bless, because I feel like a product and a project this big would be a lot more demanding, and I'm glad that they're not being kind of overly power driven and making people do whatever they want. Like, for some reason, I would have expected a project this big to say, we'll fly out everybody we need, we'll get everybody COVID tested, we'll have staff on hand. We'll be in our big mocap studio like we usually are, even though so-and-so is maybe, in London working from home. We still fly them out here because we are that big. We are Sony Santa Monica. We are making the follow-up to a game of the year, one of the best games ever. So I am kind of surprised by that they resorted to making studios in people's garages. I wasn't expecting that at all. And I think I'm happy by that, honestly. It makes me happy that they are they're working in a way that seems almost like an indie studio would work, where they're just kind of working with what they got, which is interesting to me. I don't think any of us are surprised that this is delayed to 2022. And I will look forward to playing it when it comes out. Thank you, Cory Barlog, for all your hard work.
Yeah, I don't think this is a surprise given that it's being delayed, period. I think we all expected God of War Ragnarok not to make 2022. I love that they're giving us context around why, and they gave us that context around both God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Forbidden West. It's nice to hear them be like, hey, yeah, we're not completely even sure about Horizon Forbidden West, and we think we're on track for this holiday season. But, we'll have to wait and see and get closer to understand where we're at with it. I think that is a very open and honest way to approach it, especially given that they never really gave us a window for Horizon Forbidden West. They just said 2021. And so for them to even say the words holiday season, again, super cool, super awesome of them. And yeah, like I'm with you, right? Take your time, put out a good game. It's nice to have the insight that what seems to be holding up the most is getting talent to the studio to do the mocap, to do the performance stuff. For God of War especially, that's a game that's going to live and breathe on that performance, that mocap. That's what made God of War 1 having that dynamic between Atreus and Kratos and all the characters in the game, having it be as technically impressive as it is. That's going to go a long way toward making God of War Ragnarok 2 or God of War Ragnarok live up to the first one, right? Like you have to have that focus on it. You have to make sure you get that right, and you have to make sure you're treating your performers well, or else people might get pissed off, right? People might be like, hey, actually PlayStation doesn't care about us, and we're going to go on strike, or we're going to demand to be treated better, or whatever it may be. The fact that they're putting their workers first here, I think, is an awesome thing. So good for them.
Can't wait to play.
Can't wait. Andy, let's move on to story number 4. We're going back to Nintendo. One more Nintendo story. Nintendo is opening up a museum. This is Marie de la Sandry at gamesindustry.biz.
Oh, Nintendo... I also didn't. One sec. I also hadn't checked that quote about it being cross-gen.
Wait. Hold on, they mentioned that in the Q&A also?
They talked about that as well, of God of War, and I think whatever the racing game
Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, both being cross-gen.
Interesting. I mean, that one doesn't surprise me either. Like, there are a lot of PS4s out there, right? And like as PlayStation, you want to sell the game. God of War coming off of God of War 2018, you imagine that the turnaround is going to be quicker because they're basing it off of that game, right? They're basing it off that architecture, and so
we're gonna have all the same.
More of an iterative one.
We're gonna have all the same questions.
I mean, there will be
on the base.
There will be a PS5 enhancements and shit like that. So like PS5 owners will, I think, will get a little bit more bang for their buck and shit like that. But yeah, I get the.
Give me a good. I mean, how does the parry mechanic though feel on a PS5? There is the question that
I mean, it felt pretty good on the PS4 Pro, Andy. So you can imagine it's only better on the PS5.
I can't. You know what's going to be really cool? Experiencing God of War quiet. Like I still haven't played the new one on the PS5, and I definitely need to check that out. Damn, that's. I mean, look, it makes sense, right? Again, like you mentioned, Bless, there are way too many units out there that they don't want to lose out on. But god dang, I really thought this would have been the sort of cutoff point of the. I wonder what the cutoff point even is. You know, is it whatever the next Naughty Dog thing that's being put out? Is that sort of the?
I mean, Ratchet and Clank is PS5 exclusive, right? Returnal is PS5
I guess they did
exclusive.
that with Demon's Souls as well.
I think for them, it is that balance of what are our highest sellers and what are the games that feel like they need to come out cross-gen in order to get that return, because by next year, how many PS5s are going to be out there, especially right now where there are supply constraints and you do have to work around the semiconductor shortage. You have all that stuff affecting it. I'm sure for them, they're like, no, we still have to sell these things. Like we still have to sell software, and we also don't want to leave our previous generation behind yet. You know, I'm going to bring in a question. I was going to save this question for later in the show.
Bring it in.
I can bring it in right now. Man, this is a long ass document. This is from the Flano Death from patreon.com/kindafunnygames. She wrote in to say, "Hey y'all, hope you're doing well. With E3 coming, I'm curious on your opinions about if the supply/demand constraints for the new consoles is truly affecting game development and marketing. I've heard a few podcasters say stuff along the lines of, if the PS5 were able to get into the hands of more people, such and such company may be better poised to announce/release this game. With the PS5 outpacing the sales of the PS4, is this really an issue devs/publishers are considering, or are we all hyperbolizing the situation because of the fact that supply constraints have been a consistent topic in the news since launch? Thanks for your time, Mara." To that, I'd say that I think supply demand constraints do have an effect, but I think it's the fact that this generation, more than any previous generation, is going to have a long tail in terms of the transition over. I think part of that, for PlayStation specifically, part of that is the fact that you can play PlayStation 4 games on your PS5, right, which you haven't been able to do for PS4. PS3 to PS4 for the transition to that console. And then you also have the digital marketplace, meaning that games are easier to get, right? Games are just more available. I know the PS3 was backwards compatible at launch. PS2 was backwards compatible, but I think there you had the constraints of hardware and physical gaming. This transition into next generation, I think, is going to be wide, not only because of supply constraints and people not being able to get their hands on the PS5 as much, but just because, like, what is the if you're a third-party developer, what is the reason not to put your game on PS4? There's not really one, because people can get your game on PS5 and play it on PS5, and so you're putting your game out there for a wider audience. You know, I think for PlayStation selling PlayStation 5s, it's going to take a balance. It's going to be them going, what are the games that are going to take advantage of the next gen console and display what the hardware can do, but then also what are the games that we want our whole audience to experience, and you got to work with those two. Yeah. Andy, what about you? What do you think?
It's definitely a weird balance. I wonder how many of these games start off and how many of these projects have began as a next gen experience only, right? Only PS5. We're only going to be working on PS5. If any of them did have to sort of switch gears partway through of the development process, I can't imagine a whole lot of games have done that just because of whatever the technical limitations would be. But it kind of reminds you of the movie business, right? Like, just we're going to delay these movies until people can get into theaters. I think the idea that we're going to delay these games until people can actually play them on their consoles, it makes sense to me, you know, until people can actually buy this console that came out in late October, early November. When did the PS5 come out? You know, it's
November. Yeah.
It's kind of wild. You know, it's been about 8 months now. So, you know, at any point, hopefully these things become more available and we could finally put these games out. But I think it's just been I think there have been delays from so many different points of development, whether it's making the actual game and COVID issues, or whether it's chips being in short supply. Like, there's so many different things that are affecting all of these video games trying to come out. So I think it is similar to the movie business. I think a lot of these developers and publishers are a bit more understanding of what of putting out games on. We don't want to release this now because it's going to come out and flop because nobody has the damn consoles. You know, that's definitely something that I think people are worried about.
So Santa Monica Studio tweeted out their statement about the delay. The statement goes like this: since the release of the next God of War teaser last year, we've been humbled by the amount of love our community has shown us. We're incredibly grateful to see so many people excited to experience the next chapter of Kratos and Atreus' journey. We remain focused on delivering a top-quality game while maintaining the safety and well-being of our team, creative partners, and families. With this in mind, we've made the decision to shift our release to 2022. Thank you all for the continued support. We've got some exciting things in the works that we can't wait to show you. And so it seems like they're actually now putting out the official statements about it. Yeah, this is all very interesting stuff. I'm actually not like upset.
How can we be surprised?
I mean, like we were literally predicting this for months and months and months, even when it got announced last year.
I'm not talking about not the delay. I'm talking about like it being specifically cross-gen. You know, I'm not upset.
Gotcha.
I think for me that's fine. I don't think that's gonna make God of War Ragnarok any less of a great game. You know, like I think the only thing that comes to mind for me is, okay, cool, it won't be able to take advantage of features that if it was an exclusive PS5 game, you know, like how would the SSD affect that? How would
like they're doing with Ratchet and Clank, you know?
Yeah, but also like I think there's also the question of like how much is that stuff really going to matter to that? Like, is that going to be the end all be all for it? You know, like is God of War that God of War 2018 that we got on the PS4, is that not a 10 out of 10 game that came out on the PS4, right? Like if the game is still somewhat quote unquote limited by the constraints of previous hardware, is that going to keep it from being great? I don't think that's the case. And I don't necessarily need dimension, like jumping between dimensions in God of War Ragnarok.
But like also another example, and I know like you hate it when people bring up this game because you hate this game. Even like though Miles Morales was cross-gen, like seeing that perform on PS5 was fucking fantastic. And so again, we'll get little tidbit, we'll get like little things for PS5 owners of like making God of War Ragnarok technically more enhanced and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you of like just because it might be limited because it's cross-gen, I trust that team and making what they want.
And limited,
so
limited doesn't even feel like the right word, right? Like, are you limited by making a game for hardware that you just put out a game on, right? Like God of War Ragnarok is going to be a sequel to God of War 2018. And so, like, if that's the case, right? If God of War 2018 was great on the PS4, why can't God of War Ragnarok also be great on the PS4? Especially when you're going to get a current gen version or a new gen version that is going to look better and is going to probably run better and still take advantage of the new hardware in the same ways that a Spider-Man Miles Morales did on the PS5. I think it's fine. I'm not too worried about it.
If you're a human being who loves to treat your eyes, I think we all put on that Horizon Forbidden West trailer in 4K on the TV, and it was just as stunning as any other next gen game that we've seen beyond video. So I think it's one of those if you're not going to go see, like, were you really only going to go see the new Fast and Furious movie because you could sit in the seats that vibrate?
Yeah,
exactly. Like, no, you were going to go see it because you like the franchise regardless. And I think that's just a gigantic oversimplification of it. But I think we're played because it's the sequel and it's going to look nice. And we played Miles Morales and that shit looked insane. And
another example I'll pull in too is Days Gone, where that's a game that I started playing on my PS5 for the PS Love You book club, #PSC played this, and I was blown away by how good that game runs on PS5. I was like, shit, dude, this looks beautiful. Like, the world has a lot of detail. Like, the actual next gen upgrades that they've added for this game look amazing. And that is a PS4 game running on a PS5. And so yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I do want to pull in some more details from Nibel because as the PS blog post went up, right, it's a long ass Q&A, and so it's so hard to sift through it while we're live on air and figure out all the details and intricacies of it. Nibel added in some more details from the Hermen Hulst interview. Bend Studio is working on a new IP based on the open world systems of Days Gone. Speaking of Days Gone, Sony will further invest in the PC gaming space, and then Team Asobi, who you know from Astrobot, they're being expanded and are building a franchise for all ages with global appeal.
Hell yeah.
Which I like all of those things, right? I want to see Bend Studio continue to be Bend Studio and work on new projects. Sony further investing in the PC gaming space, I think is smart. I want to see more come out of that because I think the things they've done so far with putting games on PC has been awesome. You see people running PlayStation games at like max specs and doing fucking crazy shit with them, and I love to see it. And also that it opens up games to being experienced by more people, and so shout out to that. And then Team Asobi, we all love. They're super talented from Astrobot Rescue Mission and Astro's Playroom, and so for them working on a quote unquote franchise for all ages and global appeal, I want to know more because they don't say new IP, they don't say new franchise. They just said they are building a franchise for all ages with global appeal.
Building up Astrobot, baby.
Yeah,
could very well be Astrobot.
It's gotta be that.
On a recent PS I Love You, I suggested to give them like Jack and Daxter or Sly or like a dormant platformer IP that people love. Maybe it could be that, but them saying building makes me think
Brave Fencer Musashi. Book it. Brave Fencer Musashi.
I love that.
Book it.
I absolutely love that. Dark Cloud. Give somebody Dark Cloud.
Dark Cloud was like one of the games that you just wanted to rent because of the cover. Like, this is going to be some sort of journey that I'm not prepared for. My 8-year-old brain is not prepared for this, or however old I was.
Mm-hmm. Dark Cloud was great. I do think if they brought back Dark Cloud, that shit could be a banger because Dark Cloud is basically just a fucking roguelite mixed with Animal Crossing. And if there's anything that people love in 2021, it's roguelites and Animal Crossing. Bring back Dark Cloud. But enough about Dark Cloud. I should tell you patreon.com/kindafunnygames where you can go and get this show ad-free. But guess what? You didn't. You're listening to the non-ad-free version of this show. And so let us tell you about our sponsors.
This podcast is brought to you by DoorDash. Did you forget that one thing at the store? Now you can get snacks, drinks, and household essentials in 30 minutes with DoorDash. Dinner? Check. Deodorant? Check. Morning pick-me-up from Dunkin'? Check. Get everything you need whenever you need it with DoorDash. You want Chinese, they want pizza, and someone is craving froyo. There's something for everyone on DoorDash. DoorDash connects you with the restaurants you love right now and right to your door. And now you can get the grocery essentials you need with DoorDash too. Get drinks, snacks, and other household items delivered to you in under an hour. Ordering is easy. Open the DoorDash app, choose what you want, where you want it from, and your items will be left safely outside your door with the contactless delivery drop-off setting. With over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Australia, and now Canada, you can support your neighborhood go-tos or choose from local national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory. How do I, Greg Miller, know so much about DoorDash? Well, I use DoorDash all the time. In fact, I used it this morning. Jen woke up and was like, you know what? I really want a bagel. We ordered bagels here. I'm using the Dash Pass, so I don't even pay for delivery fees, but that's not even what they want me to talk about in this ad. They just want you to know that DoorDash is rad, and I can confirm because I'm Greg Miller, and I ate bagels with it today. For a limited time, our listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code GAMES2021. For our Canadian listeners, use the code GAMESCA. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code GAMES2021 in the US and GAMESCA in Canada. Don't forget, that's code GAMES2021 and GAMESCA for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change. Terms apply. Our next sponsor, ladies and gentlemen, why it is Magic Spoon. Guess what? When you were growing up, you probably loved cereal. You said yum, yum, yum as you put it in your tum, tum, tum. But then you became an adult and you started looking at all the stuff that's in cereal. You started looking at all the nutritional values and you said, no, this is all sugary garbage and I won't have it. Well, don't worry about that anymore. Magic Spoon is here to save the day. You can cut down on the carbs, the sugar, the unhealthy food, all with Magic Spoon. 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Also, only 140 characters. You can try Magic Spoon's best-selling flavors in a 4-flavor variety pack, including cacao, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. So cacao, which is chocolate but not chocolate, fruity, frosted, peanut butter. Why do we know so much about these flavors? Well, it's because Gia's friend has been using Magic Spoon and she has been enjoying it. She says it's delicious. She likes, I believe, fruity the best is what she said. And I sound like I would like that one too, because that sounds like my kind of flavor. You've heard my stories of me eating cereal dry out of a cup. I don't know. You want to put milk on your Magic Spoon? That's your own business. Greg Miller I'm gonna eat it raw when I get it. Just right into the cup, right into my mouth. Let me taste all the fruity flavors. It's keto friendly, gluten free, grain free, soy free, low carb, and GMO free. Click the link below to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code KFGD at checkout to get 5% off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/KFGD. That's right, audio listeners. I'm not gonna leave you in the lurch. You're in a car right now. magicspoon.com/KFGD. Don't worry about the link below. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below and use the code KFGD for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/KFGD to save $5 today.
Story number 4, Andy. We have one more Nintendo story to cover. Nintendo is opening up a museum. This is Marie D'Alessandri at gamesindustry.biz. Nintendo has announced plans to open a museum dedicated to its history in Uji, a city on the outskirts of Kyoto, Japan. The project, presented under the tentative name Nintendo Gallery, is expected to be completed during the company's 2023 fiscal year, ending March 2024. The gallery will be established in Nintendo's Uji Ogura plant, which will be fully renovated to accommodate for its new function. Initially built in 1969, the factory was originally used to manufacture playing cards and was also a customer service center for product repairs. It stopped operating in 2016. In its announcement, Nintendo says the museum aims at sharing Nintendo's product development history and philosophy with the public. This is really cool.
That sounds really awesome. Dope as hell. I think so. By the end of March 2024, apparently, Because here's the thing, Bless. I'm running out of time to have a kid, right? I think it's got to happen now.
Is that how that works?
Well, it's because I want to take the kid out there for the grand opening. And I feel like if they're too young, they won't remember shit. Okay. So that, like, if I have the kid now, they'll be like 4 years old, 3 years old by the time
it opens.
That the place is open.
It might be one of their very first memories.
It could be a very first mememory. That could be
an awesome first memory. Yeah, that'd be a really good first memory.
Absolutely. My first memory was just being in a car, and that was fucking lame. You know, Andy.
Andy,
really? That's weird. What's up, Greg?
Andy.
Hey, Greg.
Do you want to be the cool uncle to little Greggy? Small Greg. Do you want to be the cool uncle?
Oh shit!
Let's go to this museum because Greg knows that the last time we went to the Nintendo Museum in New York, you can't drag me, or not museum, but the store, just the Nintendo store. You can't drag me away from that place. I can be in that place and walk around and look at the same shit all day because it's just so fun and it feels good to be there. Sure. And I can't wait to see what this looks like, Greg.
All right. I think we got a plan here. We all go over there together. You take small Greg over there to the museum. I work on making small Jen. That's how it works.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh wow.
Unsung Spartan in the chat says new Patreon goal. Andy has a kid.
Hey, we can make it happen, everybody. We can make it happen. We just gotta like also raise money for somebody who's gonna want to take care of it because I got a lot of stuff happening.
God, you're busy that day.
I'll take, dude. I'll babysit your kid and take the kid to the museum if you need me to do that.
The baby's being born, like man, I got a lot of stuff happening that day.
Like, oh shit, I'm busy. I gotta stream on twitch.tv/Cortez. Hell yeah, I'm totally down. This sounds super awesome. I can't wait for this. I'm still heartbroken that we didn't get to go to the Nintendo theme park because of quarantine. And I think that opened in March, but I think it closed again because of COVID cases spiking back up in Japan. But one day we're gonna go. We're gonna do the whole tour. We're gonna go to the Nintendo theme park. We're gonna go to the Nintendo Museum, and then we're gonna go to Nintendo.
Miyamoto, drag us around. I mean, dude, I remember seeing that video of the kind of here's what you could do at Nintendo theme park or Nintendo Land or whatever. And Miyamoto is sort of the host of this little journey, this little tour. And you're like just touching all these blocks, and it's like, oh my god, this is just COVID all over the place. Like,
oh yeah,
and so much of it is like interactive with touch and everything. It just looks like a bad idea.
God. Speaking of an idea that could be good or bad, and Andy, I'm going to need your input on this one. Story number 5, Valorant is getting a mobile spin-off. This is Andrew Webster at The Verge. Riot is bringing its tactical shooter Valorant to mobile devices. There aren't a lot of details yet, such as when it'll launch, on what hardware, or how it'll differ from the main game. But Riot says the new version will simply be called Valorant Mobile. The developer claims that the PC version of the game, which launched last year, currently averages 14 million monthly players. Valorant is also coming off of its biggest competitive tournament to date, with an event an event in Iceland. And Riot says that more than 1 million concurrent viewers tuned in to the finals on May 31st. The news shouldn't be too surprising. Earlier this year, Riot made a similar move with League of Legends, launching a mobile-focused spin-off called Wild Rift. Meanwhile, some of the most popular shooters in the world have moved to smartphones as well. PUBG Mobile and Call of Duty Mobile are both huge hits, and a smartphone iteration of Apex Legends is also on the way. It also sounds like Riot is looking to build out Valorant in other ways. Without getting into details, aside from the mobile version, the developer says that it is, quote, preparing to expand the franchise in order to bring Valorant to more players around the world. Again, this would be following the League of Legends playbook, which currently has expanded into everything from comic books to digital card games to an upcoming animated series on Netflix. Andy, Cortez, I want to know from you two things. One, are you excited for a mobile spinoff? What do you expect from a mobile spinoff? But then also I want to end up talking about the idea of them expanding Valorant into more things and what that looks like. But starting off with a mobile version, Andy, where are you at with that?
It's not surprising, again, with, like you just mentioned, with Wild Rift being a pretty big success. I know my boy Tucker, who I often play games with, is like, I don't care about League of Legends on PC, but I like Wild Rift on mobile because it's just a different way to consume that media. I'm really concerned about how Valorant Mobile looks because Valorant is such a precise, you need a keyboard and mouse. It's so like pixel perfect in everything that it does. they are always talking about their 128 tick servers and how the game runs smoothly on so many different devices, and it has to be like precise in everything that it does. And so I don't know if they are going to just let you play with a controller. I don't know if it's going to be, because you can't play with a controller on PC. That's just something you cannot do. But you do so on Call of Duty Mobile. People play controller on Call of Duty Mobile all the time. I'm not sure about PUBG. I'm assuming you use keyboard or you use controller for that as well. It's a weird idea that I am interested and fascinated to see exactly what happens with the mobile product. But I'm stoked for Valorant to hopefully get more media in terms of, animations and things like that. They just, at their recent tournament, like you just mentioned in Iceland, they debuted a new animated short, sort of introducing more lore and more story to it. And of course, their animation style, the studios that they hire are just, they're incomparable to so many other studios. It's gorgeous. It's cool as hell. It's slick, stylish. And I'm excited to explore that world more. And I thought I really only wanted to do that with Overwatch. And it turns out Valorant is kind of exciting as well. And these characters are really neat. So I'm stoked for wherever this goes.
Yeah. I'm with you in terms of the mobile version. Like, I'm very curious to see how they do it, because Valorant is a game that I associate with precision aim and mouse and keyboard. We do not have console versions of Valorant for a reason, right? And I've always assumed that reason is because they see it as this hardcore Counter-Strike like game where you want to have it be pixel perfect. You want to have it be frame perfect. You want to give people that equal playing field in that precision. And so if they're going to make a mobile version, you imagine that maybe it's retooled in some way or scaled back in some way that makes it way more of a casual experience. But I wonder, Andy, in your opinion, since you play a lot of Valorant, like, do you think them making a more casual version of Valorant for mobile strips away what makes Valorant special? Do you think it loses itself doing that?
No, I think they need to make it a more casual experience to get even more of an audience. I think the game's super popular as it is, especially because you can play it on so many machines. You're not hardware stuck to, I have this 6-year-old, Dell Alienware computer that my dad gave me and it doesn't really run the new game. No, like Valorant could run anywhere, and that's kind of the point. I think it needs to be more casual experience in terms of gameplay, because a lot of people can be turned off by it. And I think if you make a mobile version that is maybe a bit more arcadey, we've seen a couple of their arcadey sort of LTMs, or limited time modes. We've seen some of those hit the PC version, and some are popular, some aren't. Some come and go, and players don't really care about it. They'll just go right back into unrated or playing competitive. I think the game needs to be a bit more casual, and I think it needs to be a bit more arcadey. When we talk about Call of Duty Mobile, I've seen a lot of friends of mine do sponsored streams for Call of Duty Mobile, and they'll still play keyboard mouse, but through the phone app. I don't know. I have so many questions as to what this even looks like. Is it a deathmatch mode? Are they going to try to do the tactical sort of, plant the spike and 6v or 5v5? What exactly does it look like? I don't think it takes away the magic of the PC version, because I think they are going to stand alone. I think they're going to differentiate themselves quite a bit.
Yeah. Like, you imagine it'll be titled Valorant : something, in the way that you have the League of Legends thing being called Wild Rift, they'll call
sure.
It I think it'll be even called something different than Valorant Mobile. I think it would be something more along the lines of like Valorant Plant, or Valorant, like whatever the mode.
They'll have a cool
Valorant
name for it,
match or something like that.
But I like the idea of that. Hopefully, maybe it is one single Riot account, and you are gathering XP to go towards either your battle pass for the entire game. Maybe it shares one battle pass, and that's how you level up and unlock, the new gun skins or whatever. It's a fascinating proposition, and I'm very curious to see exactly where they take it. But it is the 1-year anniversary of Valorant, so they did release a lot of stuff today. The night market is coming back. The night market is sort of this way to get cheaper gun skins that are rare. They are also letting you and your friends do sort of this double XP week, it seems like. So they're doing a lot of events this whole month, leading through, I guess, the end of July. for their 1 year anniversary. God, it's been 1 year. It's been 1 year.
Hey,
Bless.
Andy,
I remember
Valorant, man. We've only played it
Bless.
once, and I was
want
digging it
to.
the first time. I was getting destroyed, but I was digging it.
I play with Tamoor Hussein a lot. Unfortunately for Tam, he is back home in the UK, and his connection is not great playing on American servers. But we still have a fun time. It's a great game. And last year, I tweeted out, that Valorant was #1 on my list of games I wish I was good at, but I'm not. I would have never thought in a million years I'd go back to Valorant, but I find myself improving, and it's addicting to kind of chase the high of getting better at this game. And yeah, I think you and me team up, Bless. We do a couple streams. Resident Evil tomorrow? No way. We'll put that off for a couple months, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
we can take that. Like, we've not done that yet. So people will understand.
I'm looking at the calendar, and
what's up?
It already says that it's Resident Evil this week, and I don't think we can change it. There's no way to change.
No, we can change it. No, there's an edit button.
No, once it's written down, it's solidified. So
really,
no, we change things all the time.
No, that's not true.
We can do it.
We always plan everything, and
literally
everything that we plan here kind of funny.
Now on Friday,
always happens.
On Friday, it says party mode surprise revival. And I'm changing that right now. I'm going to change that.
Canceling it.
To cancel.
Regular stream day is what I'm changing that to.
Okay, there you go. Done. There you go.
Done.
We're a bunch of assholes.
Easy. Story number 6. No Man's Sky is getting another cool update. This time it's called Prisms. This is Kat Bailey at IGN. And Bear, as I'm reading through this one, you can play the trailer.
I'm not
in the
Kevin.
Background.
I'm paying attention.
Remember that one time I put a trailer in there?
Again, you put in the trailer like literally 1 second before we started the show, so I didn't see it.
Why does every No Man's Sky subtitle sound like the coolest progressive metal album? Like everything they do is cool now. You know what I mean? Like Prisms just sounds so sick. Like I can't wait to listen to this concept album that's gonna talk about the dawn of man and the future of society. It sounds cool as hell.
Oh yeah. This is Kat Billy at IGN. The galaxy will soon be much prettier courtesy of a substantial free update Hello Games is releasing for No Man's Sky. The new Prisms update will overhaul virtually every aspect of No Man's Sky's visuals, and the effect is spectacular. Highlights include new weather effects, a night sky shining with the light of thousands of stars, and rideable beetles, worms, and butterflies. Hello Games is also introducing new hyperdrive warp effects and more exotic caves. The patch notes are extensive, covering not just the visual improvements, but a host of quality life improvements. They're definitely worth a read in order to get a feel for the full scope of No Man's Sky's improvements. That's interesting. In the article, they when they say No Man's Sky's improvements, they use like the plural version of skies instead of sky *s. It's a very interesting way to do it. This is No Man's Sky's third update
it's the wrong
for 2021. Yeah, I think it is the wrong way to do it. This is No Man's Sky's third major update of 2021, following on from Companions in February and Expeditions in April. It is primarily geared toward its next-gen effect, with Xbox Series X and PS5 players finding more detailed reflections, improving lighting, and other enhancements. PC players will be able to take advantage of DLSS and enhanced frame rates. This looks hot. This looks great.
I just wish that I could clone myself, and the clone would just dedicate time to playing No Man's Sky. Because every time a new update comes out, I say, "Oh, am I going to go back to No Man's Sky?" I never do, but I always want to. I just know that it's going to be a time sink. I'm going to hop in, be super confused with what the hell's happening. What do these bubbles do? Are they poisonous? How about this tree? Can I maybe pick a papaya from it? Like, there's a lot of questions that go into what happens into No Man's Sky, but it always looks dope as hell. It's always gorgeous. It keeps on getting better and better. It breaks my heart that I just don't really have time for this, Bless.
What breaks my heart is that No Man's Sky looks so fucking dope, and I tried to jump into it about a couple years ago now. When they put out Next, I tried jumping into it. I was just like, this ain't for me. But whenever they put on a new update, I'm like, fuck, I want to go back and try it again because it continues to look cool, and every single thing they say about it, I'm like, shit, this seems awesome. All of the visual stuff they're adding here seems awesome. The fact that they've gone from what that game was at launch to what it is now, and it seems like they've gotten way past the point of turning it into a good game, and now just putting out updates for free and making it shine and making it even better and better. That blows me away. Andy, over on the PlayStation blog, they got a whole blog post detailing a lot of the different inclusions that they made for this. And Andy, I know you have a background in video game development, and you know what a lot of the buzz terms are. And so I need your feedback on some of these, because I want to know from Andy Cortez.
I can break it all down for you. Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, so they talk about volumetric lighting. Is that exciting?
Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, you love seeing some volumetric lighting. I'm looking down and I'm seeing parallax occlusion mapping, which is an extra level of detail, Bless. So parallax mapping, it's like, sure, you might see the rock kind of be brittle and stuff, but when you get super, super up close to it, it's got the tiniest of little rivets in it. You're like, oh, that's a nice little parallax map. We got SSR, screen space reflections.
You gotta love SSR.
You're seeing all that throughout all these little star bases that they're inside of. Whenever you see the reflections of, it's not ray tracing. It's not ray tracing. A lot of times people might see reflections in games and think, oh, this game must have ray tracing. No. It's screen space reflections. It renders what's on the screen and what's on the screen only. And if you look down, suddenly that thing isn't reflecting on the ground anymore because you're not looking at it directly anymore.
Can you tell me about refractions? You know, here they talk about new lighting technology brings refractions to No Man's Sky. The new effects can be seen all over the universe, including on glass base parts, starship cockpits, force fields, and more. Does that get you excited?
Refractions, you know, Bless, when we talk about refractions, we're talking more of the people that work in the shader tech. You know, there's always the tech people that are like, yeah, I'm kind of into art too, and I'm really good at programming. Andy, check out this new shader I made. And I'm like, damn, that looks dope. Can I put that on one of my objects? And they're like, yeah, take this shader, Andy. I made it for you. And those are the people that are the real brains of the operation. I'm the doofus. I just made 3D models. But the people with the shaders, when you'd be like, what if the green part right here, Bless, like emitted a kind of smoke? And you'd be like, oh, dude, I could do that for you right there. Like, those are the smart ass people. I was not the smart person. Bless.
Hell yeah. Dude, yeah, this is super awesome. Again, like somebody in chat mentioned this, and I'll repeat it here too, that like this game doesn't have microtransactions. You know, they're not making post-launch money off of this game. You know, like they're making money off of the sales of copies, and that seems to be it for the most part. And the fact that they're continuing to update this game like this with free updates is mind-blowing. And that brings in a question. I'm going to bring in a question from Pete Tropolis from patreon.com. It's kind of funny games. It's a longer question, and so I'm going to pare it down to pretty much this. With the 5-year anniversary of No Man's Sky coming up in August, do you think we're going to see any announcements from them, maybe even during E3? Or do you think after what happened with the release of No Man's Sky, we're still way off from hearing anything, and Hello Games is likely to stay silent until the next game is ready? Andy, eventually Hello Games has to put out a new game. We did get the indie release from them late last year, but you imagine that they're working on something bigger, better, and greater. When do you think we see it?
Do we though? Like, do we imagine that they are working? Like, what if they are the No Man's Sky studio, and these small indie titles just sort of help fuel and fund the future of No Man's Sky? Maybe they do come up with new ways to monetize in the future, but. Yeah, I don't know, Bless. I don't know if they do come up with something even bigger than No Man's Sky. I think the project they're finally getting the project to a place. Well, not finally, but they have gotten the project to a place where they think it's damn worthy of your $60. And there's a big pool of gamers out there that really want that sort of content. They want that game. They want the Star Citizen. They want the I'm trying to think of that other sort of space sim game that's not coming to mind right now.
Massive Effect.
No, definitely not that one. Definitely not that one. But I mean, like, I think that they are just showing a lot of people that want that really deep space sim to say, look what we're doing. We're still trying we're still trying really, really hard on this video game. It's kicking ass. Come over here. Why don't you give us a shot? Elite Dangerous is the game I was trying to think of. You know, what if we could be that game for you? So I don't know if they are making a brand new game. If they keep releasing stuff for No Man's Sky, maybe they are just the No Man's Sky studio.
They did. Sean Murray did hint toward a bigger game in a interview with Polygon.
I take everything back then.
late last year. But like, you know, like nothing's ever a given, right? Like game development is game development, so anything can change. But he talked about the idea of putting out the next No Man's Sky sized game, quote unquote, and he was talking about basically coming off of the release of the last Campfire, which was a smaller release, and a lot of people liked the last Campfire. Cool. They talked about how that's not the last game that Hello Games is working on. I'm trying to find the exact quote. This is Russ Frushtick over at Polygon. Last week, Sean Murray, the studio's founder, spoke with Polygon about the team's desire to keep making new, non-sequelized projects, including a title Murray describes as a huge ambitious game like No Man's Sky. So he's not necessarily said that, like, you know, they're deep into working on it, but the idea that they want to do something like that. And to the question, I'd say they're probably not going to announce it until it is imminent on release.
Oh yeah, they've learned.
You know, like I do not think we'll see it anytime soon. I think after the lead up to No Man's Sky, they understand the idea of hype and how hype can be damaging, especially when you don't want to spill the secrets on how the game works. That's the trouble they got into with No Man's Sky, where you have Sean Murray going on talk shows and him being asked like, so is there multiplayer? Can you see other players? And Sean Murray basically being like, you know, can you? Like him not giving straight answers and that leading to disappointment of people realizing that, oh shit, this is not what we expected to be. This is not what we wanted.
I think the best thing about this is that you know that publishers are aware of that as well. And whoever, you know, Last Campfire was a multi-platform game. But I like the idea that everybody kind of looks at Hello Games and understands the struggle that they went through and all of the hate that they got for that year or whatever it was that it took to come out with a second update, or even news that they were still trying to work and fix things. So I think there's sort of this agreement of, look, we're not going to talk about anything until we know anything, and we're not going to even make mention that a game is ready if it's not. So trust us there. We have the goodwill of the people. We've fought and we won it back. So just let us do our thing, and more power to Sean Murray and the team.
We got two more news stories. These are both going to be quick hits. Story number 7. This is just one to look out for. A new RPG from former Shin Megami Tensei devs is incoming. This is Matt Purcell at IGN. A quote, new school RPG, end quote, developed by former Shin Megami Tensei staff will reportedly be announced next month. As noted by Twitter user Nibel, the Famitsu website has listed 4 developers attached to the current project: Kazunari Suzuku, a creator; Aya Nishitani, a creator; Ryutaro Ito, a writer; and Tsukasa Masako, the composer. Additionally, a logo with the word Monarch has been shared. This could perhaps be the name of the game, a code name, or some other reference. However, a website, monarchgame.com, that currently displays a countdown suggests we'll find out the significance of Monarch on June 10th. So be on the lookout for that if you're looking for a new game from Shin Megami Tensei devs.
I have a news story I'm going to throw in there really, really fast as well. I saw this tweet when I went to go to the restroom at around 3:40 in the morning. So this is a tweet that probably got lost, but VGC_news on Twitter tweeted out that a Steam beta has been listed for Platinum Games' elusive Square Enix action game Babylon's Fall.
No way.
Babylon's Fall hasn't been shown publicly since 2019. This is not the Souls one. This seems, yeah.
This is the one they revealed like a few years ago.
Yeah,
that we never got
it has not been shown since 2019. But as spotted by Gamatsu, this is a story written by Andy Robinson of VGC. As spotted by Gamatsu, a closed beta test listing for a long in development title was seemingly uploaded to Steam on Tuesday. Square Enix recently confirmed it would make announcements as part of E3 2021 this year, which could potentially include a long promised update on Babylon's Fall. And the tweet from Gamatsu says, not sure if legit, but Babylon's Fall closed beta test just popped up on Steam DB. And it looks to be fairly imminent.
That happening around E3 time, that doesn't seem like a mistake to me. And that makes me very excited because I want more out of Babylon's Fall. I want to see what that game is because it looks like it could be really dope. That's hype. That's awesome. And then the last one for a quick hit. Story number 8, King of Fighters 15 is delayed. This is tweeted out by SNK Global this morning at SNKP official. When I say this morning, I mean last night, actually. Announcement: due to rising cases of COVID-19 within Japan, the development timeline for King of Fighters 15 was adjusted, with the release window changing from 2021 to Q1 2022. We apologize and thank you for your understanding and patience. You hate to see it, but take your time. Make sure that game is great, and we'll see you next year, King of Fighters. Andy, super excited to play some fighting games, but the release of this fighting game is just so far away. If I knew it was coming out to mom and pop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Speaking of fighting games, I was playing Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Edition because that came out yesterday on PS Plus. Let me tell you, that game's a good time.
I've been watching a lot of Maximilian on Twitch play that game, and it looks like a blast.
Yeah, check that out if you have PS Plus. Also, check out Operation Tango, which is a really good time. If you're looking for a co-op game, that one is actually a very good one, a very fun one to play with friends. Out today, we got Hako Life for PC, Sludge Life for Switch.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. Every day, today's menu for the Amaya family for Switch, Bunny Factory for Xbox One and PC, Dungeon Escape for Switch, Find 10 Differences for Switch, Grand Slam Tennis for Switch, and then 2K announced a new apparel collaboration with global sports company Puma to introduce the latest edition of the Court Rider sneaker line in NBA 2K21, the Puma Court Rider 2K. Part of the Puma 2K collection, the new shoe is available in-game before retail and features a show-stopping design of vibrant colors and playful vibes that are perfect for players hooping in the NBA 2K21 City or 2K Beach. Oh, there's a beach now?
Mike isn't even there yet. Snowbike Mike hasn't even been called up to the beach or to the city.
Wow.
He's still stuck in the little area with all the noobs.
He's still in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Damn. Also out today, we got a PUBG update 12.1. That brings with it a remaster of Miramar. Also, we got Skyforge that releases... Hold on, let me just read this verbatim. Skyforge releases Free Hunters of Terra update on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and PC. And then from Joe Scrubbles at IGN, Inkle, creator of 80 Days in Heaven's Vault, has surprise released Overboard, a new narrative murder mystery game in which you play the murderer trying to get away with the crime. It's out today for Nintendo Switch, PC, and iOS.
That sounds dope.
I saw Rebecca Valentine tweeting about it and being very excited about it. And so that might be one you want to keep an eye out for. Yeah, apparently their previous games were actually pretty good. And so if that interests you, boom, there you go. Check it out. New dates for you. Hashtag, Andy, would you pronounce it Nason or Nacon? This is
Nacon. I go with Nacon.
Nacon. Hashtag Nacon Connect is back on July 6th, 2021 with new gameplay, exciting announcements, special guests, and epic collaborations. Ghost Runner for Xbox Series X and PS5 launches on September 28th. It's a free upgrade for current owners of the game. That's coming with 4K at 120 FPS, ray tracing mode, 3D audio, and haptic feedback on the PS5. Woo! And then Garbage, the fighting simulator game with management and building elements, is set to release on June 4th on Steam.
Oh, 3 different genres.
Yeah, man. It's all over. Like the out today / new days section is very all over the place. Very all over the place. Deals of the day for you. Amazon Prime, for a limited time, Prime members can immerse themselves in Battlefield 4, available free for Prime Gaming, the regular price being $20. You can do that from June 1st until June 20th. Prime members can claim 1 game code redeemable on Origin for the Battlefield 4 Standard Edition. And then Greg has a note here that says, remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Prime Gaming, which gives you a free 30-day sub to the Twitch channel of your choice. We know how many of you listen on podcasts. Remember to kick us a sub when you're off the road. Thank you, Greg.
Pull over right now.
Good job, Greg.
Pull over right now. Go to twitch.tv/TheAndyCortez and gift us up.
Oh, twist.
Oh, wow.
A twist.
Holy
oh,
shit.
Wow. Oh, man. It's time to squad up. Joshua Fennis writes in with a squad up on Xbox Series X and says, I'm a new father to the most wonderful little girl named Joy Anna, and I'm looking for some people who are in somewhat the same stage of life as I am. I have to go AFK at random times, and I'm looking for people who would be okay with that okay with that, even if it loses the game. Just looking for some chill dads, wanting to kill grunts in Halo, score TDs in Madden, and anything in between. If you want to play with Joshua Fennis on Xbox Series X, you can add them with the username JJ21 on Xbox 360. Or is that JJ21 space Xbox 360? I can't
think
tell.
that's the full name. I think that's the full name. JJ21
okay.
space Xbox 360.
JJ21 space Xbox 360. Yeah, I had to read that a few times because I was like, wait, are they squatting up on Xbox 360?
Yeah.
What's going on here? Damn, that's wild. It's a wild squat up right
there. They're using the little Wi-Fi adapter that you get, the little one thing antenna that sticks out.
Damn, it's wild. Tomorrow's hosts for Kind of Funny Games Daily are Greg and Tim. Of course, now it's time for kindoffunny.com/you're wrong, where you write in a list of what we got wrong as we got it wrong so we can correct it for those watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and on podcast services around the globe. A lot of your wrongs for yesterday. Here's the thing. Ignacio Rojas writes in to say it's pronounced Arceus. Here's what I'll say. Yesterday, I was curious, and so I Googled it. Google pronounced it Arceus. And so I believe none of you. I will accept no more pronunciation.
Look,
there's
I will accept no more corrections about Arceus, Arceus, however it's pronounced.
I will say this. I think Tim first said Arceus. And then the lady who was announcing it, or the dude, or whatever it was on the
Nintendo,
the first reveal said Arceus, and I think we all looked at Tim and I was like, "Tim, this is kind of awkward for you."
Yeah, I know. I mean, that should have been like if Tim was saying Arceus, we should have.
He hasn't gotten over it yet.
Yeah. He doesn't know Pokemon.
Carl with a K says, "Don't know if you covered this, but God of War and Gran Turismo are also confirmed cross-gen."
Oh my god!
Yes, we did. We did cover that.
Let the episode go on before you do stuff like that. Come on.
Remember, if you want to write in with your questions, we have a place for that. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. And then, I mean, Andy, people have No Man's Sky suggestions for you if you want to check that out. If you're interested in actually jumping in, people are saying that you should go check out certain things like Expeditions mode and stuff. And so I'll leave that to you to go check out. But for now, we're about to go into a Twitch stream. If you're watching this live on Twitch, after this is Snow Michael playing some of them video games. Barrett, do you have any idea what Mike is playing after this?
None whatsoever.
I think him and Nick are going to show people how to use After Effects for a bit.
Oh.
Nick is going to do a little tutorial, I believe.
Cool. And then probably play Warzone when Nick gets bored.
Right after this, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames is where you can go to check that out. Of course, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live, right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news you need to know about. We have a Patreon post show for those that are subbed at the silver level of patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, so stick around for that. Otherwise, until next time, game daily.